I would like to consider myself a bit of an Olivia Rodrigo expert here, and as someone who lives and breathes her music and feels it on a spiritual level, I will do my best today to attempt to yap to you on the best Olivia Rodrigo songs from worst to best, but I'm not actually going to be ranking them from worst to best because, to be honest with you, I do think that come from bias, I do think that Olivia Rodrigo is one of the very few artists where she has very, very few, you'll see in a minute, skip songs. So instead, I've decided to split it into culturally significant. So these are like her obvious hits, the ones that obviously everyone knows Olivia for. This is where a lot of the sour songs come from. And then we've got criminally underrated, which are the songs that I think tend to be more fandom favorites, but absolutely deserve to have the respect of the general public. There's going to be a lot in this section because do I think some of her songs are underrated? Yes. I mean, obviously, it doesn't take a genius to look at the commercial success of Sour and go, okay, this is one of the best albums of all time. Yes, sure. But if you talk to anyone who likes Olivia Rodrigo, they will say to you that Guts is just the most infinitely better album. And so that's where, to be honest, I think a lot of Guts songs will be if we're talking on commercial success. And then we got Slightly Missed the Jackpot. Look, there are very few songs that I think, Olivia's a songwriter, but her production as well is what gets her to where she is, I think. And the combination of two, when she hits those two, that's when they become culturally significant. But there are the occasional songs, in my opinion, where she has slightly missed on the production or she's slightly missed on the songwriting, and the delivery is not great, but we will get to that as well with some of the songs that are there. Unsure How to Feel are more of just like there's an oddball to do with the songs. You'll see why I put this there. I've already done this ranking, but I actually am, like I said, I'm a professional yapper, so I will continue to explain why each and every song is going to be put where it is. Then the miss is obviously the misses. Like the songs that I don't think deserve to be in Olivia Rodrigo's legacy of a discography. And spoiler alert, there are not going to be many of them, so. And then there are obviously the songs that are irrelevant to her legacy. Didn't get much sound around it, didn't get much hype. But like, at the end of the day, it's still Olivia Rodrigo. Anyway, I digress. We shall start before I yap forever. There is a lot to say about her discography, obviously only with 2 albums, just before we get into her 3rd album release, which is You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl So In Love, which I could not be more excited for. The 2 singles were absolutely amazing, but I will yap about them more when we get to them. Anyway, so we are starting off with All I Want. Okay, don't kill me for this. All I Want is a banger. It hit 1 billion streams. This is what gave her, I guess, the hype before Sour did come out. But if you've heard the rest of that soundtrack for that show, High School Musical, the musical series, there are actually better songs in there, in my opinion. I genuinely think like Wondering is fucking peak. But anyway, they're not here for whatever reason, so we are going to get started with All I Want. Look, All I Want is one of those songs where she was obviously incredibly young. You can see how young she is in the songwriting, but in saying that, it was for a Disney show and she did it well. I mean, like I said, the crowd love it, so I think I would put this in culturally significant only because this is what started her entire career, to be honest. This would be low end on the list, but obviously this is the starting track. Do I think this song is phenomenal? No, absolutely not. But do I think this is how everyone got introduced to Olivia Rodrigo? Yes. I think if you told me that the first Olivia Rodrigo song you ever heard was Driver's License, you'd be lying, because during COVID, this song was literally everywhere. Starting off with an absolute fucking banger. Okay, you have to bear with me when I call Sour as underrated, because respectfully speaking, it's the most streamed female album of all time. So there are going to be songs on there, like if I could put the whole album in culturally significant, like I would, but I'm going to have to be really strict on Sour for obvious reasons, because otherwise her entire fucking discography would be there. Her entire artistry would be there. Brutal is one of the songs, I think it's her next song that's projected to hit 1 billion streams. Brutal is criminally underrated, in my opinion. I'm sorry. I can't put it in culturally significant. It is like, it's a trend. When we get to Guts, you'll see what I mean. Her openers for her albums, in my opinion, tend to be some of the best songs. We'll get to Guts before I start ranting and yapping about how amazing All American Bitch is. But Brutal is absolutely peak. It's up for debate with what Olivia exceeds in, but I've seen a lot of people talk about her pop rock. I mean, she grew up listening to pop. She grew up listening to rock. You can obviously hear it. She's talked about The Cure, The White Stripes, on and on and on. Obviously, we've just got a taster of her feature with Robert Smith in her next album. But Brutal is absolutely peak. Trader, that's all I need. I think, like, it was, her third single for Sour, and she was just on a fucking killing streak with that. I think it is one of the weaker ballads in Sour, in my opinion. We'll get to that. But obviously, it's culturally significant. I think this is just, like, the best car screaming song of all time. I do think it's up there. So I think that deserves to be up there for that. It's definitely above All I Want. I don't know why I didn't do that earlier. Anyway, Driver's License, her debut song, like, this is probably her most culturally significant song of all time. Obviously, like I said before, I think a lot of people did hear All I Want before they heard Driver's License, if you were on your phone enough during COVID. But at the end of the day, Driver's License was just, the success of Driver's License as her first ever released single is just something that is so incredibly rare. And just like the song itself gave Olivia a name, like she went from being a Disney kid to a household name like that. But to be fair, that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for, we're just going to rank them now. Like Deja Vu, obviously, good for you as well. What a run for your first ever album, I guess. Like, I don't think anyone will ever be able to contest that. This is just an absolutely insane run. And like, she was 17 when she wrote these tracks. And if I could talk about them individually, I would. But Deja Vu especially is like an amazing, amazing, amazing song. And to do that at the age that she did is just like otherworldly. And it's very rare that a debut album gives an artist the level of power. I do think it's amazing. One step forward, three steps back. Okay. I'm going to put it in Unsure How to Feel. I do think there are definitely worse songs in this, and I think it's too harsh to put it into Miss. But my way of thinking about this is, if you are going to sample a Taylor Swift song, why would you do New Year's Day? Why would you do it? I just think melodically and songwriting, I can't even put it in slightly missed the jackpot, because I think the production is bland. I think that the songwriting of it is definitely not her strongest. And there is a theme in Sour where like her age in the album of Sour is such a blessing, but also such a killer as well, because you can see we'll get to that, but you can see that in some of her songs, that her age does peek through a little bit. And I think that reduces the relatability. In saying that, I'd be lying if I said I streamed Sour all the time. I definitely listen to Guts way more, but I can't explain it, but the feeling of nostalgia listening to Sour when I was 17, going through my first ever heartbreak, listening to Sour for the first ever time, it is such a pleasant feeling, and it takes you right back to COVID. Like, I was talking to my friend about this the other day. I genuinely think that 90% of the people who heard Driver's License remember exactly where they were when they heard that song for the first time. Like, it was genuinely groundbreaking. Anyway, enough of you. Okay. I'm biased. Like I said, don't get upset by my takes. This is exactly how I feel and only how I feel. But I think Enough of You is just like, I think peak. Like, in terms of guitar ballads, I think it is one of her strongest. And I do think the bridge of this song is just like, it definitely, for me, like I said before, it brings me back to the days where I was 17 listening to the South for the first time, going through my first ever heartbreak. And this is the sort of childish mindset that you have. I don't even say it's childish. Like, the songwriting in this is really, really good for her age. But you can tell that a 17-year-old wrote it. Only a 17-year-old could write heartbreak like she does. She literally said that in the BBC one yesterday's interview. Today's interview, I'm not sure. But yeah, peak. I cannot say anything bad about that. Happier. Production, amazing. Delivery, songwriting. This is one of those songs in Sour, in my opinion, that, look, by the way, this is definitely within the culturally significant. Like, it has 1.6 billion streams on Spotify or something, but like I said, I've got to be strict on Sour somehow. I think the delivery of the song and the songwriting of it shows her age a little bit. And that's what I meant before when I said it's a bit of a blessing and a curse. I just remember during COVID, people aggressively cutting cucumbers to this song and posting it on TikTok. Like, that is what I associate the song with. So obviously there's some bias there, but I do think this, like I said, I like all of Olivia's music. So when I'm ranking this, like, take it with a grain of salt, because I do genuinely love all of these songs, but I have to be harsh where I have to be harsh. Otherwise they would all be in the S tier for me. So I've decided to rank it like I have. What did that fucking Mormon boy do to her? Like, heaven forbid, Joshua Bassett, happy Pride Month. Okay, so we get to Jealousy. Oh, actually, no, I don't think it's up there with the sour ones. Like I said, if I'm doing this as harsh as I am, I would have to put this in criminally underrated, but like, low-key, where do I put? I would put it behind Brutal, only because I think it's less underrated than Brutal is. Like I said, this also has over 1 billion streams, but like, I do think, like, logistically speaking, it's better than Enough For You. This placement here is entirely out of bias. So, okay. So, favorite crime. Actually, no. Actually, I'm just going to put it in culturally significant so I don't argue with myself here. Do I think this is the weakest ballad in Sour? The weakest ballad out of all of these in culturally significant? Yes. But is it still an amazing song? Yes. It goes into like the tier with Trader, where it's like, it was a flip between these two, which ones you're singing in the car with your friends when you first get your license, and just blasting it after your first ever breakup. Like, these two go straight up together, in my opinion, and that is not up for debate. I think with favorite crime, the bridge carries the song. I think melodically it's really beautiful to listen to. I think the production was a bit of a miss, in my opinion. But I can't say anything bad. I just personally find it a little bit more boring than the rest. But in saying that, it's still to Olivia Rodrigo standard. So it's like, but the songwriting in this song is phenomenal. I would actually argue that maybe after Driver's License, this has the best songwriting. But anyway, hope you're okay. Okay, so hope you're okay. Beautiful song. Beautiful song. Let me preface this by saying, because I know this is sensitive to some people, I love the song. And I think me being a closeted gay man a year prior to this song coming out, I think this song hit me in a spot where I didn't think it would hit me. Listening to it the first time, I was like, oh my God. But I'm putting it here because it has, it does not fit in with the thesis statement of the album whatsoever, of Sour. Like, literally all of these are just heartbreak angst anthems. Heartbreak ballads, angst, like it's either one of the two. This song, just, in what world does this fit into the album? It's just like Olivia just had to like put in an extra song about how woke she was to like tell it, like, as a statement piece for who she was as a person, I guess. And you could argue the same thing with Brutal, but like, I think that fits in with the thesis more of like, I'm a teenage girl, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life, more so than writing a random gay anthem about someone. But do I think this song is beautiful? Absolutely. I'd put it up. I can't put it next to One Step Forward, Three Steps Back. But the only reason it slightly missed the jackpot is because it does not make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I think there was discussion, I don't know how factual it is, that she said that there was originally a deluxe for the album. If there was a deluxe for the album, sure. Like, absolutely. I think this would have been, I would put this in criminally underrated. But in the base album, it just does not make sense in the slightest. Anyway, now we get to Guts. I do not have to, I could go on rants about how commercially underrated this album is. In saying that, is obviously still within the top 15 most streamed female albums of all time. But I just think this album is perfection. And I think it will be everyone's talking about how, so far from the singles we've heard from You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl So In Love, that this is going to be the album in 10 years, that's going to be the album in 10 years' time people look back and go, oh shit, we underestimated how good that album actually was. But unpopular opinion, that's how I feel about Guts. I think Guts is so commercially underrated for what Olivia is. I think she tried to move away from a little bit of the pop star, I'm the next Taylor Swift, and she tried to bring in some originality, and she did. Like, you cannot compare Guts really to a Taylor Swift album. I think the closest you could probably do would be Speak Now, but even then, I just think there this was her album of self-isolation, her moving herself away from all the comparisons from other artists, obviously. The Soon by Paramore, whatever happened with Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift's team. This is her creating a name for herself. This was a statement piece of an album. And for whatever reason, I will never forgive the general public. They did not understand enough, because in every single way, shape, and form, this album is just a million gajillion times better. All American Bitch. This is like the top of criminally underrated. This song, I would argue, is like top 3 of her entire discography. It is amazing. The production of this song is genuinely like, I can't even think of a song in my head that is better than this, and also a song that could not be more of a statement piece to who Olivia wants to be as an artist and move away from those pop norms. And I think we'll get to that when we get to the newer songs, but she's trying to split herself away more and more and more. And this song, if I were to tell you what kind of artist Olivia Rodrigo is, I would just send you to this song. I would say this is exactly who she wants to be. And she's even said it before. It's one of her favorite songs she's ever released. So I think it's criminally underrated. Absolutely. And going back to what I said about the album openers, like there will always be a theme. These two are just like, they're right next to each other. They are just underrated, amazing songs. And I think that we haven't heard Stupid Song yet. This is currently being recorded 2 days before the album is released. We don't know it's Stupid Song. We know it's going to be the 3rd single, and we know that it's going to have a music video. Do I think it will fit in with these? Probably. Like, I do not see this streak of opening songs ending. So, bad idea, right? Okay. I don't even think it was culturally significant. Actually, no. I'm going to put this in culturally significant because the reception that it got when it came out as the 2nd single, because obviously we've just talked about all the singles from Sour, and Vampire was obviously before Bad Idea, right? I think when people heard this song, that was when they kind of got put. I think this song being released as the 2nd single is what put people off from Guts. And I will actually quite die on this hill, because this is so incredibly alt for what Sour was, obviously. She always had those hints in Sour, but this is everyone's first taste of like Olivia, I guess, being more of an alt figure. And I think people got off-put from that. They were like, oh, she's, not the mainstream artist I wanted to listen to. But this song is culturally significant. It's culturally significant because it pushed away the listeners who only listened to Sour. And I think that this is still an amazing song. Do I think it's the best in Guts? Absolutely not. But I also do think it was very significant as the 2nd single. Vampire, there I need to say, I would actually I'd put that there. I don't even know where I'd put it. This song is incredible. Like, it is such a well pieced together rock ballad. And this to me is like if you mashed up all of Sour into one album and then 3 years later came out with a single. This is exactly what she did it so well. And this is what I mean when I say I feel like it's sister albums, because you can see her maturity as an artist. I think the vocal delivery is absolutely amazing. I remember there was so much discourse about her vocals and her vocal delivery when this first came out, and everyone was like, oh, she can't sing. But mind you, the success of Sour and then having to release a 2nd album must be the most terrifying thing. You were 17, release this internet shaking, groundbreaking debut album. You go into your 2nd album, you are going to be terrified. You're going to be terrified. And she's quite open about how she struggled with her own levels of anxiety before. And you could see the anxiety whenever she sung Vampire with the release of Guts. And do I think those two things go hand in hand? We don't know, but it would make a lot of sense. I never thought her vocals were bad. Do I think they were shaky? Yes, but Vampire is also an incredibly hard song to sing. And when we get to You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl So In Love, you'll understand what I mean. But her vocals are like insane, like genuinely insane. Now, anyway, we get to that. Lacey, okay. This is a hard one. I almost feel like I need to put in like a different section because this song is amazing. Like, this song I wouldn't really say is underrated. It was one of the most acclaimed songs of Guts, one of the most streamed songs of Guts. Do I think it was culturally significant as well? No, but it was culturally significant in the way where it fits her voice so well that when people listen to her singing that, they go, holy shit, she can actually sing. That's the only reason I would put it in culturally significant. But I'm going to put it in criminally underrated. I'd probably put it because do I think it's that underrated? No. But I would put them there. I think that this song probably deserved to have more hype, but like I said, it already had so much hype, but it also wasn't big enough to be culturally significant, in my opinion. Ballad of a Homeschool Girl. Man, I don't even know if I can put this behind All American Bitch. This is the most perfect song of like Guts. I think if I were to give you a staple song of Guts, she did this so incredibly well. Like, this is such a fun song, like such a fun song. And I genuinely, actually, no, I think I'm going to put this above All American Bitch just because obviously this is like a third of the streams of what All American Bitch does. But this song is genuinely like, oh, it's amazing. It like is one of her less streamed songs altogether, but I just don't understand because it is such a fun song. I cannot understand someone not listening to that and going, oh, that's fun. Like my friends, man, I just came back from a road trip and my friends were listening to Drake in the car and they banned me from playing Olivia Rodrigo. But like I played this song and they were like, oh shit, this is a banger. And I'm like, yep. I'm saying this song is so good. Like this is such a digestible song. Like even though it's rock, it is nowhere near as hard as Bad Idea, right? It's fun. You can have fun listening to this song. Like, I just think this is if you're with your friends and they don't like an Olivia Rodrigo song, I'm telling you right now, put this on. Like, it's just so fun. Anyway, Making the Bed, criminally underrated. Like, I already had this pretty set up to be at the top of criminally underrated. This song is beautiful. The second verse of this song is just like phenomenal. The songwriting, if I would like tell anyone to listen to a song about like to admire Olivia's songwriting, I would give them this. So I think melodically it's a little bit boring. It can be at times, but like it is like the theme with all of Guts is that production wise there is not a miss. Like the production of Guts is genuinely perfect. And Nigro, you fucking ate with this album, I'm telling you. It was so perfect. It is so incredibly perfect. And I think Guts is the spiritual successor of Sour for a reason because it just shows her improvement as an artist and it is genuinely phenomenal what she's done. Anyway, Making the Bed is peak songwriting, like genuinely peak songwriting. I can't put this anywhere else but criminally underrated, to be honest with you. Logical. If you are one of the 3 logical defenders in the world, 2 + 2 = 5, I'm the love of your life. Yeah, that's not up for discussion. Getting back. Oh, okay, I could go on rants and rants about this. I talked about how Bad Idea, right, was the reason that everyone was so off-put from Guts altogether because it was so hardcore. Getting Back needed to be the second single. It was obviously the third single with the release of the album, but this needed to be number 2. Because if people heard this instead of Bad Idea, right, they'd be like, oh shit, this is fun. Like, this is crazy fun. Even All American Bitch could have been a second single. I actually vouch for All American Bitch and Getting Back to both of those songs would have been better singles than Bad Idea, right? I think Bad Idea, right, as the spiritual successor of Brutal, I keep saying that, would have been an amazing, amazing, amazing opening track for the album of Guts. I think All American Bitch and Bad Idea, right, should have done a swap, or Bad Idea, right, should have been the opener and Getting Back was the second single. And like, there is not a doubt in my mind with that. Like, and I don't actually think anyone would really disagree with me, but this song is still so incredibly fun. Also, this is really niche. I've never heard anyone talk about this before. If anyone has ever played Crash Bandicoot Team Racing on the PS2, it sounds exactly like the fucking backing track of the song, but it's like so niche, I don't think anyone would understand. So I'm just gonna leave that there. Love is embarrassing. Okay. Sue me, like I said, there's gonna be bias here. This song is so good. This song is so fun. Don't get me wrong. But melodically, I think it is really bland. I think it's quite bland. Not really bland. I think it's quite bland. I think the production carries the song like it does with a lot of Guts. I wouldn't say it carries Guts, but like generally speaking, the production of Guts is just like phenomenal. And doesn't change in this song, but I just find it to be too like almost flat lines. Even though, do you get what I'm saying? I feel like only the Australians will understand what I'm saying, but when I first listened to Love is Embarrassing, my first thought was like, oh my god, this is like an indie Australian artist, like making pop music. And I think that's maybe been stuck in my head because I just can't. I just find melodically, it's just like, and the delivery of it is to just be like, and then I'm just like, I know. Anyway, sorry, sue me. The Grudge, criminally underrated, to be honest with you. This, in my opinion, is way better of a ballad than Traitor, Favorite Crime, and there's obviously the debate where it's about Taylor Swift, and the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, I think like there are some parts where it's like undeniable. Flowers built with vitriol, you built me up to watch me fall, you have everything and you still want more. Or about a call about some Friday in May. Like that is, I'm sorry, way too niche to not be about Taylor Swift. Anyway, that's up for debate. But generally speaking, the same part where it's like, flowers built with vitriol, you built me up to watch me fall, you have everything, you still want more. Peak songwriting, peak ballad, the build is amazing. That is also up there with Traitor and Favorite Crime. I think those three are in their own tier, and that tier is called Screaming Songs in a Car After a Breakup with Your Friends. And I think The Grudge is just like, I'd probably put it there, I think. But The Grudge is like phenomenal ballad, and I do think it's very underrated. I've seen a few people say that the ballads in Sour eat up the ones in Guts. That's only because Logical exists. I'm telling you right now, Making the Bed and The Grudge are just like so beautiful. I can't even call it like, and Lacey is just like poetic songwriting perfection. Like and that to me as well shows Olivia's dedication to her art and how much she loves her job, because she literally went to school just so she could do songwriting lessons. And this is, I believe, one of the poems that she wrote while she was doing those classes, and she turned it into a beautiful, beautiful song, and it's ended up being one of her more successful songs. And it's just like, that is dedication to your work, and I think people respect that. People respect the work. Anyway, Pretty Isn't Pretty, criminally underrated as well. Like, when I saw the amount of streams this song has, I think it only has like 260,000 or something. I was genuinely baffled. This, to me, I think Love Is Embarrassing, Pretty Isn't Pretty, to me, production-wise, they do remind me a bit of each other. But Pretty Isn't Pretty is carried by the bridge or the post-chorus. I try to ignore it, but it's everything I see. It's on the poster, on the walls, and it's in the shitty magazine. And when she's just saying, like, that is so... This is the spiritual successor of Jealousy, Jealousy in such a more mature way. I actually would put them next to each other just because they're sister songs. Like, generally speaking, they are just sister songs. And Pretty Isn't Pretty, in my opinions, probably not as good as Jealousy, Jealousy, but like Jealousy is obviously a lot more popular than Pretty Isn't Pretty, and I will never understand that because I think they are pretty on par. Anyway, Teenage Dream, in terms of the outro for an album, I put it at the end. Like the build at the end where it's just like, it is so good. It is so good. And just like as an ending for Guts, I do not think there could have been a more perfect song. And weirdly enough, I also do find that Teenage Dream is like a bit like brutal. Like it, you know, it's kind of talking about how my whole life I thought that, you know, if I was famous, if I was making music and doing what I love, then that would make me so incredibly happy. But like, now I'm 17, or not, sorry, now I'm 19 and I'm writing this album and I'm going, this isn't what I thought it would be. I feel like years of my life have been shred off. And she's spoken about how in an interview recently as well that she feels like a lot of her life, she didn't really have much of a childhood. She was a childhood actor. And so I think Teenage Dream is a directly written song from that underlying feeling. Absolutely. Like, I just feel like Teenage Dream and Brutal really help establish, in my opinion, Olivia as who she is as a person. I think this song is so incredibly personal. It really helps you understand Olivia as a person. And I think as well, her feeling writing Guts coming back from Sour. And so I think this is like a perfect end for, perfect ending for an album. Anyway, now we get to her deluxe. I absolutely love all of Olivia's discography. But do I think this deluxe was necessary? I think Obsessed is a really good song. I think it's underrated. Do I think it's as good as the other rock songs in her album? I'm biased because when I was Barricade at the Guts World Tour, she was doing like the, you know, when she's like, have you seen the videos where she's like on the cam and she's like just feeling herself, like looking at the camera on the floor, and you can see it on like the big screen, like I was right in front of her when she did that, and like she almost converted me as bisexual. So I'm biased, but I do think this is an amazing song as well, and the production carries through to her deluxe. It's amazing. It's really good, and I think it's a really fun song as well. I would actually move it up. But the thing is, it's not as underrated. Obviously, it was like the single in quotation for the deluxe, so it's naturally going to have more people listening to it. But I think that's a safe place to put it. Okay, now we get on to Girl I've Always Been. Okay, when I listened to the deluxe, Guts is really what got me into Olivia. I obviously listened to all of Sour in absolute depth, but I had no intelligence when it comes to music, and I had nothing to judge off of because Olivia is probably what got me into music as big as I am. And so when I listened to Guts, I was just like, you single-handedly just reminded me that I love music. I love music so much, and I've learned so much through you. Girl I've Always Been, when I listened to the deluxe, I was more of just like, this is just a fun song. And it is a fun song. It's 2 minutes. It's really short. It's our only song not to hit 100 million streams or more, I believe. And I think it's fun, and I'd listen to it with my friends, but obviously like it's full country. It just feels really out of place, which is why I'd put it in Unsure How to Feel. And that seems to be a theme with her deluxe. Her deluxe to me, which I guess is what deluxes are supposed to be. That doesn't necessarily have to be a theme within the deluxe, but I just feel like, I just feel like it didn't need to be there, respectfully speaking. Like, I can tell that she wanted to be experimental, see what show the world what she can do. And she to be honest, she killed it. It's a fun country song I would listen to in the car. But I just feel like if she never released this, the world would be completely the same, And Scared of My Guitar. I am going to get to want to shreds for this. I think this song is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I think that when she's doing the high note and showing off her vocals in this song, it is phenomenal. But melodically, for the rest of the song, I find it incredibly boring. And I've hyped up the production this entire album. Even in Logical, the production's is what saves the song from being an absolute mess. But I was actually really bored, I think, in Scared of My Guitar. To be fair, I talk about Enough For You because it's also a guitar ballad. And so I think it would be unfair to talk about its production. But I just think in terms of her ballads, if you compare this, in my opinion, to Hope You're Okay, Enough For You, I just think it's boring. I think it's boring. I wouldn't put it in Unsure How to Feel, but I do think it's a little bit more boring. Sorry. Stranger, I think that she's worded together that reminiscence in a really cool folk way. About that feeling of how you don't have to have that angst that she's talked about in Sour and Guts to get over someone. You don't have to despise them. To me, this song was such a showcase of her growth of maturity. And these two songs specifically, I think they were put here intentionally. I don't see people talking about this enough to blend into her next album. Going from Guts and talking about, oh, so American, I'm so in love. And then talking about Stranger, about how you can reminisce about your ex-partner going, I've matured now, I've grown up, you're a stranger, but I cannot hate you anymore. I'm sorry for throwing your name in the mud, Joshua Bassett, for so long. But to me, the song is really, really well placed together of her as a person. Like I said about Teenage Dream, it really shows growth of her and these are the perfect two songs to lead into this album, which obviously we had no idea about. But also Stranger for me as well was in I really, really think, and I'm calling this now, All 4 will be a folk album. I don't want to say it's going to be her folklore dupe because obviously I really don't like comparing her and Taylor, but I think she has the real potential she's the only other artist I would say has the potential to release a folklore 2.0. And this to me kind of was an indicator of that. And I also really thought that she could have done her first ever feature with Noah Khan on this song. I thought this was a very Noah Khan sort of vibe to a song, in terms of sound, obviously. Especially after covering Sixth Season, but I believe that was after. Anyway, I think this is criminally underrated, to be honest. Just in a fandom perspective, I think more people need to understand how beautiful and how much meaning this song actually has to her discography and her as a person. And same with Soul American. I actually think Soul American is a really fucking good song. I don't think it's as good as Obsessed. I actually need to I'll move this around in a bit. But just like chucking them in now, I think So American is just it's such a fun song. Like I remember listening to that. To be fair, I did get bored of it quite fast, but just like, Olivia's first released her first ever love song, and it's so fun. Like it is such a fun song. Like I guess it is repetitive, but like the bridge of this song is so much fun as well. It's just a good song, and I think if more people heard it and more people were listen to it, they would understand. Have you heard? Do you guys remember when she posted to TikTok her performing the acoustic version of this song? Beautiful, beautiful, and that as well was all intentional because she started showing off her vocals more and how good her vocals were. That's like that post has something like 5 million likes on TikTok. Like her vocals in the acoustic version of this song were amazing, and it's such a beautiful song as well. Like if you make it acoustic, it is such a beautiful song to listen to. It's her first ever love song, and to me, Drop Dead is the spiritual successor of So American. I keep saying that, but like, anyway, we'll get to that. Can't Catch Me Now is this song. I remember because this came up after this came. I remember listening to Stranger. I love Stranger. I think Stranger was my most played song in 2024, 2025, 2024. And I remember being like, oh my God, the folk vibe really suits her. And then she covered Stixies, and I was like, oh my God. And then she released Can't Catch Me Now for the Hunger Games, and I was like, oh my God. Do you see what I mean when I say if she did a folklore album or like a folk inspired album, she would absolutely kill it. This song is beautiful, like genuinely beautiful. And I do think this was incredibly underrated. I think a common theme is that her team do tend to fail her a lot. When this song, like she kind of was just like in the middle of tour, and then her team was just like, hey, we're releasing a song for the Hunger Games, and like the world moved a little bit, but nowhere near enough for how good this song is. Everyone skipped past it so fast. I just think this is an amazing song. And if this and Stranger, in terms of songwriting, her vision as an artist, and like the fact that she just saw a movie and was like, oh my God, I'm going to write the most perfect song for it. She is one of a kind. Like she genuinely is. Like in 10 years time, people will look back and be like, oh my God. But no, like I think a folk album, especially with her level of songwriting at her age, would be amazing. To me, this song, obviously it's for a soundtrack, but to me, this is like Cardigan vibes in terms of like just a folk song that is elevated and dreamy and just such a beautiful song. Anyway, Book of Love, Irrelevant to a Legacy, beautiful song. It's a beautiful cover, and obviously it really showcased her as like this woke queen, and I absolutely love her for that. But the world didn't move much. I think everyone was so ready for her new album that when she releases, everyone was kind of like, after the Lancome ads was kind of just like, snooze, don't care, give us the new album. Anyway, brings us to the new album. Her new album and the thesis for her new album is absolutely beautiful. And I think that this album is going to be another one of those songs that people look back on and go, oh my gosh, we let that slide. But I think what she's trying to do is exactly what she did with Stranger, which is that just like, I promise you I'm not that filled with hate. I promise you I do not hate everything. I've learned over an extended period of time that it's not their problem all the time. It's mine, I have these issues with my attachment. She's really, really vulnerable in The Cure. We'll get to that, but I think that this album is just beautiful. Like it's going to be beautiful, and we're going to learn so much about her. And this album to me is going to be such a mature album and showcase so much of her as a human being. And I'm really, really, really excited for it. So that brings us to Drop Dead, about her second ever, what's it called? Her second ever love song. That's what I was trying to say. After So American. Do I think this is better than So American? Yeah. I am in an awkward place right now. I love this song, don't get me wrong. And culturally significant, obviously. Like this song has done numbers. Like it had something like 10.7 on filtered, 10.7 million filtered streams on Spotify on its first day of release. And that to me is like incredible, like that really showcased to me that she is only getting better and better each era. Obviously did more than Vampire. Everyone moved for this song. It went number one. Like it's culturally significant. It's her introduction to her next album. I think I've overplayed this song so much because I liked it so much when it first came out, and I was just like feeding for new Olivia songs. That when this came out, I overplayed it, and I'm at the point now where I'm bored of it. So I cannot tell you honestly where I would rank this here. I think it's culturally significant. It's her first single in 4 years since Guts. I don't know. Like I said, I can't say anything about anything crazy about it. Do I think it's her weakest single? Unfortunately, yes. Do I still think it's an amazing, like a really good song that you can just, like she said, if you just like want to run through a house when you're in love with someone, I think she does a really good job at that. But unfortunately, the relatability to this song, I think, is kind of just like unmatched, because to me it feels a little bit childlike, a little bit like I'm talking all about this maturity and growth as an artist, but to me, listening to Drop Dead, I'm just like, there's only so many things you can talk about in regards to the theme of love, like, and the happiness of love, about how amazing it is and how fun it is, without getting too complicated. Or she's kept it simple with this song, and it's a really digestible commercial crowd hit, basically. But it didn't do the numbers that it should have, to be honest with you. Give it a year though, I think people listen to Drop Dead and be like, oh yeah, this was like Manchild last year. You know, when Manchild came out, everyone was like, snooze. But now everyone's listening to it again. It's like, oh shit, this is actually a really fun song. I think it could be the same as Drop Dead. I think this song personally just lacks personality. Production's amazing and it's a fun song, but like, that's all I can really say to that. And now we get on to, I'm so excited for Stupid Song. Now we get on to The Cure. Dare I say anything? Like, dare I say anything? I probably can't put it in front of Driver's License if I'm ranking this on cultural significance. But if this is just, I don't think there are many people who would disagree with you that this is her best song in her entire discography. And it actually makes me really upset that the world didn't, like, look, this song is already projected to hit 1 million streams before Drop Dead did, despite coming out 3 weeks, almost a month later. So the world is moving for this song, absolutely, but not on the level that it should be, in my opinion. It's nowhere near the level of what Vampire was at its point in time. And I just think that this absolutely, in terms of, I can understand, this goes back to the singles. I think the single choices of Sour were perfect, amazing. I've already talked about how I think Guts were a bit weird. But hear me out. I think that I know what she was trying to do with Drop Dead. She really wanted to just have a commercial friendly hit. Radio doesn't even like that song that much. They haven't been putting it on the radio near as much as they should be. Granted, they could be waiting for the full album release, but it's been like dry at the moment. This song, to me, kind of showcased that she's moving away from a pop stardom, a pop artist, and more into someone who has this envisionment of her art and a discography, and a strong one at that. She released this as a statement piece, and I'm telling you that right now. A statement piece of maturity, going back to what I said about Stranger. And she did it perfectly. The build to the song, the strings at the end, the songwriting of it, the production of this song is just phenomenal. Like, genuinely phenomenal. And I think that this should have been the lead single, to be honest. If this was the lead single, the world would have moved. The world would have moved. I'm telling you that right now. Obviously, I haven't heard anything else from the album yet, so I can't tell you whether I agree whether Drop Dead should have been a single at all. But I think Drop Dead would have been a good single choice as number 2. But I genuinely think The Cure should have been her number one. Imagine a 5 minutes lead single from someone already who's built a legacy as strong as Olivia Rodrigo in terms of like her age and her dedication to her art, and also her legacy, like coming off Sour. The Cure is genuinely perfect. Like, the way that she is so vulnerable and words such a difficult concept so incredibly well. Like, I cannot stress enough how amazing this song is. I remember listening to The Cure for the first time. It took me straight back to the feeling I felt when I heard Driver's License for the first time. And I think a lot of people are talking, like, don't really. I've heard a few people saying it's boring. I mean, you can't trust stand Twitter anyway. If you're going to Twitter for advice on music. But yeah, no. I can't say any more, otherwise this is going to just turn into a whole video about The Cure. But the song is beautiful. This song is amazing. And anyone who disagrees is respectfully wrong. Okay, we're going off, obviously, the live version of these songs. I'm not going to get into what's wrong with me just yet, because that one is very, very, very Look, it's too early to say where this song is going to be, but I will talk about the song anyway, of Begged and What's Wrong With Me. Begged is beautiful. I heard a lot of people complaining about the fact that there wasn't a bridge. I'm just saying it right now, didn't need to be a bridge in that song. It was so beautiful. The, what's it called? The vocals in the backgrounds, the choir, Wise Blood, was just so incredibly beautiful. And it, to be honest with you, didn't need a bridge. I don't think a bridge would have fit that song. That's not the typical ballad that Olivia has written before. Like, it's not an acoustic guitar ballad, nor is it a rock ballad. It is just a simple ballad that is so beautifully written. The only thing I will say about Begged is, I mean, granted, we don't have enough of the rest of the album, but going from The Cure, which she's talking about how I'm the problem, I've got all this poison inside of me, and I'm becoming avoidant, and I'm becoming anxious because I cannot take love on a face-to-face concept. Then going to Begged, where it's basically just saying, but in order to get your love, like, I had to beg for it. It's like, okay, is that coming from an insecurity perspective, or is that Louis Partridge's point of view of a song? Because if Begged came from the point of view of oh my god, I can't say his name, Louis Partridge, then I would understand. But we haven't heard the whole album yet, so obviously I'm just talking out of my ass right now. But do I think this song is beautiful? Yes, I think this is one of the most beautiful songs that she's written. I would honestly put it anywhere in here if this doesn't do what it should have done, if it doesn't do what it should do. But in saying that as well, when she played that on SNL, that is actually one of the best receptions to an SNL song or an unreleased song I've ever really seen on social media. Everyone was really, really positive about that song. Like I said, the only negative thing anyone had to say was that there was no bridge. But I'm telling you right now, that song does not need a bridge. We've already established that Olivia is the queen of bridges. Driver's License, whole thing is built around the bridge. Deja Vu, amazing. Good for you. Like, I remember listening to Empathy's Like a Woo for the first time. Amazing. Vampire, bridge, phenomenal. Probably up there with Driver's License. Trade-Off, Crazy Bridge, Favorite Crime, Crazy Bridge. You get what I'm saying? Like, she doesn't need to establish The Grudge. She doesn't need to establish how good her bridges are anymore. You didn't need, like, yes, she's a staple artist in terms of how good her bridges are. Beggs didn't need it. It didn't need it. It's a simple, beautiful song. But now we go into what's wrong with me, because melodically, it's really, really, really beautiful. I think it's an amazing song, but I am kind of scared in regards to these two songs, only because they are really simple. That is the only bad thing I have to say about Begged, is that it is simple. The melodic delivery is beautiful. The thing is, what's wrong with me is that it's the same. It's melodically beautiful. The songwriting is very vulnerable, and this goes hand in hand with The Cure, which is what I was saying before. I feel like the thesis of Begged is kind of like, doesn't really make sense to the other two, so like The Cure and What's Wrong With Me. I think these What's Wrong With Me and The Cure kind of go hand in hand with each other. But it's just, I think, a bit like, man, they could have been a build-up in this song. And I said Beg didn't need a bridge. What's Wrong With Me could have had, like, and probably should have had, like, a build-up and more. From what I've heard live, obviously the the studio version might sound different, but from what I've gathered from this is that it could have built more. And the truth is, I don't think she cared that much. She's trying to say, I'm collaborating with one of my favorite artists, Robert Smith. And I think that's beautiful. I think she's really building this bridge between her influences and older generations of music lovers to the newer ones. And I think that's a really, really good thing. That's a really, really good thing that she's doing. And you can tell how much she loves that. She's been a fangirl since day one. She still has a post on TikTok about how much she loves Taylor Swift. Like, we know who she loves and we know she's a fangirl. She's openly said, why would I not be a fangirl? I love being a fangirl. But in saying that, I don't think it's really up for debate. I think their voices work nicely together, but do I think Robert Smith's voice works well into Olivia's discography? Probably not, but I don't think she cares. I really don't think she cares. This is more of a statement song of being like, guys, look how amazing this is. I get to collaborate with one of my favorite artists. I don't care how it sounds. So I don't think this song is really up for critics. I think this is more of a song that she's just so incredibly excited because it's like, I get to collaborate with my influence. And also, not to mention that her ex, who this whole album is about, favorite artist is The Cure. Now she's released a song called The Cure and collaborating with someone on a song from The Cure. I aspire to be that level of petty. I actually do wonder if she, like, generally speaking, is on that. Like, if she actually had that in mind when she was writing this album. But either way, I think it's unrightful to rank this song. I think this is more of just like it's almost like a girl I've always been in a sort of way. It's kind of just look like I don't really care how you take this song, but you can tell that it's very inspired from The Cure because it's something probably that The Cure could have written themselves. But do I think it's a little bit boring? Yeah. Is that a problem? No. I don't think she really cares. I think it's more of a way of saying it's just a song for her inner fangirl, basically. I said enough about that. I'll talk about roughly about like what I think my predictions I think are gonna be. You seem pretty sad for a girl so in love. It's basically already a given that Honeybee is going to be her like love song, and she said she wants people to play it at weddings. I'm really, really excited. To me, this sounds really awful to say out loud, but like wedding attempts to do songs can be like really amazing or like awful. And I hate to compare it to Ed Sheeran, but like, look, respectfully, when Perfect came out by Ed Sheeran, that was everywhere. That is a wedding song done perfectly, respectfully. You don't have to like the artist. You can think the song's overrated. You don't like, that's fine. But at the end of the day, how many weddings have you heard that have had that as one of the songs? Walking down the aisle, first song dance. Like, it's undeniable. Commercial wedding success song. And so I'm really excited. If Olivia can fit into that, then so be it. But like, she's already really been a staple of like, I know what my envisionment is. If I want to make a wedding love song, I can make a wedding love song. And so do I think she's going to kill it? Yeah, which is why I'm really excited for this. I'm really excited for Stupid Song. Like I said, her opening tracks for her album usually tend to be some of my favorites. And it's the third single. She's recorded a music video for it. It was the one where everyone saw where she was wearing like a dark navy tracksuit and there were like ballerinas around her. So I'm really excited to hear this song, and I think the name of this song is very like Olivia coded. Maggots for Brains, also very Olivia coded. I'm really excited to hear this one. And You Plus Me Equals Love. I don't even know how to pronounce it. She said on the podcast interview that this song, one of the interviewers said that this was very Cranberries inspired. And so I'm actually really, really excited then to hear what this sounds like. I just realized, oh no, Purple is here. And so if You and Me and My Way are part of the Girl So In Love part of the album, then like I'm excited. You Plus Me Equals Love could just be a really influenced, beautiful song. We don't know what it's going to be. My Way, genuinely no idea what this could be. I'm really excited for Purple because it's like, obviously, there's the light blue and the pink between the two parts of the album. Almost like a concept album. And then the combination of those two colors is purple. And this is meant to be like the bridge between like the happiness of being in love and the depression of being in love. And it's meant to be like that middle song in between, which is why I'm really excited to hear it. Really, really, really excited. She said it ebbs and flows. So my prediction could be it's like a really happy love song at the end, and then it almost just dips down into a ballad. I think this would more than likely be one of the rock ballads on this album as well. If it ebbs and flows, it could just be a realization, like a song of yearning and a song of realization before we get into less expectations, cigarette smoke, begged, and what's wrong with me. And I don't know much about these two songs, obviously. She hasn't really said anything, but Cigarette Smoke I'm really excited for. I really enjoy Ethel Cain's music, and I really enjoy the length of artists making songs longer than 4 minutes. This is 5 minutes 40. So I'm genuinely like, I'm so interested to see what she does because her outros for her albums, it's been hit and miss. Teenage Dream is perfection. But Hope You're Okay. It was a beautiful song as well, but it was just out of place. It didn't make much sense. So I'm really, really excited. And I'm telling you this right now, if she doesn't release a deluxe for this album, if this song is any way, shape, or form folk inspired, for the love of God, expect a folk album. She's done that with the last two. You really need to listen to her last album, like last songs of her albums to really understand, I think. And she's going to start this as a trend to understand what her next album's going to be. Because like I said before, the bridge of Soul American and Stranger, she knew what she was doing when those are the last two songs of the deluxe going into this album. She knew what she was doing. And I think she's so smart. She already has an idea of what her next piece of discography and what her next form of art's going to be. Listen to these two songs, the two ending, mostly Cigarette Smoke, and that will give you the vibe of her next album. And if it's 5 minutes 40, we could be getting a really alternative album from Olivia Rodrigo as the next one. And I think people are going to love it. I think people are going to love it. So let's just see if I want to move anything around before I start talking. But Driver's License obviously is like the most culturally significant song. Like I said, I guarantee you remember exactly where you were when you heard this album for the first time. Deja Vu. I think this is one of her best indie infused songs ever, and I'm sorry, I absolutely love Taylor Swift, and it's Taylor Swift, and I'm not the kind of Livy that's like, screw other artists. I think if you're like that, you're weird. Respectfully, if you're watching this video and you like to compare Taylor Swift to Olivia and in a negative light to either of them, you're weird. You're weird. I think I've done enough talking from this to understand that Olivia's really trying to separate herself from that. She's been asked about Taylor. For the love of God, I'm waiting for the day an interviewer asks Taylor about Olivia. It really, really bothers me. But look, in saying that, The Cure is one of her best songs ever. I'm not going to get into the detail, like the Taylor Swift shit. Good for you. Pop banger. I think Vampire's probably done better. Rock ballad. Like I said, it's like the infused song of Sour. This was like the perfect single coming from Sour, in my opinion, to really showcase her and what her vibe is. All I want, I'm going to put this at the end of culturally significant, because like it was very culturally significant. But if we're talking about the quality of music in these ones, then like I think Getting Back is I think it's better than Good For You, in my opinion. I think it's such a, like the bridge for that song, it's so fun. Like, it's such a fun song. Almost reminds me of Sabrina. Sabrina's got so much charisma in her music, and I found that Bad Idea Right, Getting Back, Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl have so much charisma in those songs, and it makes Olivia, I feel, so much more personable listening to this album. I've seen a few people say that she's bland, but I genuinely think if you want to hear the kind of artist and how funny she actually can be, look at her covers. At the end of every cover, she sticks her tongue out and goes, or does like the crazy eyes and like a video talking about Obsessed. Or listen to these songs, like Getting Back, Bad Idea Right. They're fun songs. She has charisma. Just because she's extremely humble and PC because she doesn't want to get cancelled in interviews does not mean she's not an interesting person. I would die on that hill. If you want to understand how interesting of a person she is, look at her perform. She's an amazing performer. Or look at her music. Like, look Guts specifically. Anyway, sorry, rambling again. Drop Dead, I think, is still a really good song. Like I said, it's probably one of her weaker lead singles, but it's still an amazing song. Good For You, Trader, Favorite Crime. Also, like, it's just impossible to rank these. I would put this there, to be honest. I think I'm happy with that ranking. And like I said, please do not disagree. Or actually, no, sorry. You're more than welcome to disagree. But this is my opinion. It's biased. I listen to a lot of Olivia, and this is my honest opinion coming from a lot of my own taste, my own bias. But anyway, Making the Bed, yes, absolutely. Ballad of a Homeschooler, like if we're talking about stream specifically, mate, this is the most underrated song. Sorry. That's also definitely biased because I know that a lot of people don't like it, and that's fine. But that's my opinion. You can't change that. Making the Bed is more underrated than All American Bitch, just because All American Bitch still did have a good amount of streams. But to be fair, it was the opener. Can't Catch Me Now, crazy. The Grudge, crazy overrated. Lacey isn't that overrated, but it also wasn't. Actually, no. I'm going to move Lacey into culturally significant because that was we'll get it. Actually, I'm going to go on a quick side rant about Olivia's vocals. Do you remember when she was like soft teasing her third album and she did a few of those shows with AMX? And she was in that green dress and she was singing Lacey. This song's streams went up by like 100 million in like a month and a half or 2 months because her vocals were insane. This song is a statement song to me to show off that she can sing. Coming off from the start release of Guts and Sour, she was young. She obviously hadn't done like a lot of vocal training to then going to singing Lacey perfectly live in a way that no other artist could sing with the amount of emotion and intent she did. And not only that, a song that is so poetic and so beautiful. This was a statement song, in my opinion, just to show off her vocals and how good of a songwriter she is. And I would say the same with Making the Bed, but unfortunately it wasn't culturally significant in any way. But yeah, this was culturally significant really because it kind of woke up everyone to be like, holy shit, her vocals are insane. Like, this really kind of like blew up after the whole Guts era had sort of ended, which is crazy to me. It wasn't even on the set list, might I add, but now it has like, I think it's something like the 4th or 5th most streams from the album. Crazy. Anyway, sorry, sidetrack. Grudge, amazing ballad, brutal. I would move this up, but it's like not underrated. Like, it's her next song to reach 1 million streams on Spotify. 1 billion. I feel like this entire time I've been saying million instead of billion. That's just made me realize. Anyway, this is really close to 1 billion streams on Spotify, so I can't put it any lower, but like, this is an amazing song. I would almost actually say, no, I would also put Bruno in culturally significant, just because that was the introduction of like punk Olivia, not even pop punk, like just punk Olivia, punk alt pop. This was like the introduction to, I guess, what Guts was going to be, and everyone loved it. Everyone loved it. Crazy good opening track. It also, I could also say it's kind of similar to Hope You're Okay when I say it doesn't really have that much of a place on the album, but like, it's such a fun song and such a cool introduction to like this teenage girl vibe of Sour, and like the authenticity and the how, even though she's an amateur to the industry, how much of a natural talent she has. So yeah, I put Brutal in culturally significant. But Pretty Isn't Pretty, I think I'm fine being there. I'm fine with these two being here as well. These are crazy underrated songs. I should have done a section for overrated. Anyway, Jealousy is also just like a banger. The bridge of this song, I actually am going to Die on the Hill. That of all of her more upbeat songs, this has the best bridge. Maybe aside from Getting Back. I think this has the best bridge. But also, like I said, I can't quite put it in culturally significant. Everyone hated this song the most when Sour first came out, I remember. But like, it's also too well known to be anything higher than these actually criminally underrated songs. Enough for you. I would actually move this up. This has like, well, I think the second most least amount of streams on the album. Crazy. I would actually say that's probably better than that's biased. Please don't sue me. Thank you. Teenage Dream, Stranger, Teenage Dream. I would definitely move up actually, but like, it's amazing, perfect outro for an album. I would put that. I'll put it there. I think that's good. Okay, and Stranger, I'm gonna leave it there because I think it's underrated. I think melodically it can be a little bit bland, but if you listen to the songwriting and have listened to all of Sour and all of Guts, you really understand how important this song is to her, and her maturity as a person. Slightly missed the jackpot. Love is Embarrassing. I feel like this one I'm going to get absolutely like bent over for, but like, I just find it so boring. I find it boring. Maybe that's coming from an Australian who listens to a lot of indie infused Australian pop artists. But to me, like, this is very Spacey J and this is very The Ryans in a really weird way. I can't explain it because obviously they're very different genres, but that's all I really listen to when I hear it. And I think it's just because it's so flatlined. It is so flatlined. I feel like there's not much of a build up, you know, besides the verse and then the chorus, and then it goes back to verse, then it's the chorus, and then it's like, there you go. Happier, amazing, like a really good song as well, but like, I just find that it's a bit too childish for me. I would actually maybe put this in, I'm not going to say anything about that, I'm just going to do it. This one as well, I am very sorry. I'll put this at the top though, I think that's fair. Happier is, yeah, we just talked about that. One step forward, three steps back. Thank you, I've already left that there. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Girl, I've always been. This is only Unsure How to Feel, just because it's just like, it was a taster. Like, I don't think this song was meant to be taken seriously, nor is it a miss. It's kind of just there, but it doesn't need to be there. You know, it just feels a bit weird in terms of the rest of her discography. Like, she's trying to build this legacy, and then she just threw this random fun country song in. I'm like, it's a good song, but like, if you're trying to build a strong, crazy piece of work, I'm just like, fair enough. I guess not all music needs to be taken seriously, obviously, and I think I should know that after listening to Guts, but this one just felt a little bit more outcasted to me. Don't need to talk about Logical. Sorry. Book of Love, don't need to talk about that. But yeah, I'm happy with this list. Let me know what you think. I hopefully did some justice in my rant and my crazy rants about Olivia. Obviously, everyone feel free to put your own opinions in. This is just bias. I'd really be interested to see what people have to say. And I also just felt like I haven't really heard enough of like an in-depth talk about all of Olivia's music before, so I kind of took this as the opportunity to do that. I would really like to do a video in the future about like the successes of different songs, like create like a chart of like what song is connected to each other, because like, I can't stress it enough, this song is probably like the one song of all of Olivia's music that people are like, what is that the most? But like, it is such an important piece between her growth as a human. just from the time between when she was writing Guts and when she was writing the deluxe. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. Let me know if you would like a video talking about the different successes of each songs and which one is related to each other the most. I might do an actual tier list of like her most, what I personally think her best songs are, but like spoiler alert, The Cure is definitely going to be number one. And yeah, I can't actually go into much more than that, otherwise I'll get mad. But like, yeah, hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think, and thank you for listening. This is my first ever video. My name's Eli. I would really love to start doing this, so if you have any sort of feedback as well, I would really appreciate that. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Much love.